Why is The Last of Us Part 1 Remake only coming out on the PlayStation 5 and not the PS4 when The Last of Us Part 2 came out on the PlayStation 4? I don't know. I really don't know. But you know what? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Jay's Gamepad, everybody, and all my fellow G's and gamers out there, welcome back. And also, could you please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you like my content, because I'm trying to build this channel, so thank you. Anyhow, let's get into this video. Earlier on in the week, I dropped a video in regards to The Last of Us Part 1 Remake, where I went through the trailer and broke it down. We looked at the comparisons with the remastered version and the remake version, and we also went over the pricing and the two editions, with the standard edition and the Firefly editions, and basically gave my thoughts and opinion why both editions were priced round about the prices that they were priced. And when I posted this video and I watched it in its whole entirety, I actually realized that there was a few points that I didn't even mention or talk about which could have benefited that video. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of like go into my thoughts and opinions and things that I should have put in the last video, but I didn't. So the main thing for me is that, or question should I say, that I asked myself was, why is Sony and Naughty Dog only making and bringing this game out on the PlayStation 5 and not the PlayStation 4? Think about it. So I started to really think about it. The reasons that Naughty Dog gave, the reasons that people are giving online, and it actually doesn't make any sense when you really think about it. Because Naughty Dog has touched this game 3 times. It came out on the PlayStation 3, the standard edition, the normal edition. Then it came out on the PS4, the remastered edition. And now they just remade the game for the PlayStation 5. And it's only coming out for the PlayStation 5. But when you listen to their reasonings, it's because they say they want it to align with The Last of Us Part 2, graphically, gameplay wise, all these other things. But if that was the case, then why wouldn't you bring this game out on the PlayStation 4? Because we got The Last of Us Part 2 and graphically it looks amazing. It's probably one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 4. So if you want it to align with like The Last of Us Part 2, then why not bring it out on the PlayStation 4 as well? Now, I understand that some people will say, okay, we'll only bring it on PlayStation 5 to incentivize people to buy the game, to buy the console, so forth and so on. I understand that. But if you look at it from a logical point of view, it actually doesn't really make any sense, because the reasons that they're giving are not because they just want it to be on the PlayStation 5 because they want people to buy the PlayStation 5. That's not really what they're saying. They're saying because they want it to line up with The Last of Us Part 2. So essentially, you want gamers to buy this game 3 times. That doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense. Now, I believe, that it's not because Neil Cuckman or Naughty Dog wants to make this game look like The Last of Us Part 2 and update the gameplay and graphics in regards to Last of Us Part 2. I don't believe that's the reason. The real reason that Neil Cuckman wants to remake this game is because he wants to retcon certain things in the first game that align up with Last of Us Part 2. He wants to validate his bullshit, his storytelling, like the way he fucked up the characters and stuff. He wants to validate all that bullshit with The Last of Us Part 1. Because the truth is, that was one of the major arguments that a lot of gamers like myself made. It was like, this don't make sense in Part 2 because Ellie did this, Ellie said this, Joe said this, Joe did did this, their relationship was this. Like that was one of the major points. So I believe the real reason that Neil Cuckman and Naughty Dog are remaking this game is because he wants to retcon certain things to validate his bullshit in The Last of Us Part 2. Now, look at it this way. I talk about us gamers, paying for the 3rd time on a game that's been out twice before. The price is £70 for, over here in UK, £70 for the standard edition, £80 for the Firefly edition, whatever you want to call it, £80. Just because it's on the PlayStation 5. And the wickedest thing about it, check this. When you look at the comparisons here, compared to the remake and Last of Us Part 2, it looks like the same level of graphics and fidelity that you would get on the PlayStation 4. So what's the point of remaking the game? And your argument is, we want to align it with part 2, when the game looks like part 2, but you're developing this game on the PlayStation 5 hardware. That doesn't even make any sense. See, the reason why the original Last of Us looked as good as it looked when it came out on the PlayStation 3, because it came out at the latter end of the PlayStation 3 console generation. Like, for people that, for you that might not know or might not be aware of this, when a new console comes out, you're always going to see this. Games midway to the latter end always look and perform better to games that came out when the console gets released. They always do, because these developers have time to actually manipulate the hardware and the system and how to get the most out of these consoles to make these games perform better, look better. So I say this to say that Naughty Dog are remaking Last of Us Part 1 to line with Part 2. But they haven't even done a remastered of Part 2. And you best believe when they do, it's going to be on the PlayStation 5. And it's going to look and perform supremely better than the Last of Us Part 1 remake does on the PlayStation 5. And God forbid if they wait until the latter end of the PlayStation 5 console cycle generation, it's going to look infinitely better. It's going to perform infinitely better. So what and who is this Last of Us Part 1 really for? And like I said, I believe it's for Neil Cuckman. It's for Neil Cuckman and his ego, and to tell all the naysayers that had something to say about his bullshit in Last of Us Part 2 to validate his bullshit and say, hold on a second, no, this is how it went. And for those that might not be aware of this, the reason why I have a big issue with this Part 1 remake version, is because in the first game, Neil Cuckman was a co-writer, but he wasn't the lead writer. Amy Heddings was the lead writer. Just like in Part 2, Neil Cuckman was a co-writer, but he was the lead writer in Part 2. And the woman that he brought on, to the project, Neil Cuckman basically turned around and was like, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And she said, oh, well, I think this and I think that. And he was like, all right, then cool. Well, I take that under advisement, but we're doing this. That's basically how it went. And that's how it went with the first game with Amy Heddings. Neil Cuckman was there with his opinions and whatever. But Amy Heddings was like, nah, this is direction that we're going in. That's why there's a big contrast in regards to the story and characters with Part 1 and Part 2. So Neil Cuckman, I believe, only wants to do this remake to validate his bullshit. And the reason why that I'm saying this and I strongly believe this is because if you look at the trailers, if you look at the advertisement, if you look at the promotion work, if you look at the posters, what do you see? You see a big picture of Ellie and you see Joe this small on the poster. For anybody that hasn't played The Last of Us, the game is about Joe and Ellie. Did you hear that? Joe and Ellie. Joe first and Ellie second, because the game starts with Joe and ends with both of them. You play and see Joe 100% of the time in the game. Actually, I'm lying. There's probably about 5% of the game where you don't play as Joe. You see him, but you don't play as him. But you dominantly play as Joe. You dominantly see Joe. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bit in the game where you play as Ellie, but it's dominantly Joe. But it's their story, it's their relationship. For someone that hasn't played The Last of Us, they will look at the cover of the game and think it's about Ellie, and Joe is some protagonist. But it's not. This is the thing. This is the problem. If we look at the artwork on the first game, you see both of the characters. You see Joe and Ellie, but they're both evenly portioned. And you know what I'm saying? They're basically standing together. If you look at the artwork of the remastered, same thing. Same thing. So why are they making the artwork on this game drastically different? Because they're trying to act to say that it's Ellie's story. Because in part 2, spoilers everybody, Neil Cuckman in his I mean, in his wise wisdom and his intelligent storytelling, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm being like patronizing and condescending, you know what I'm saying? Decided to kill Joel early in the game, and the way he did it was bullshit because it's not even his character. He doesn't even act or talk or think like that. It was retarded. Then the majority of the game you play it as Ellie. Then they brought this random character called Abby that they retconned into this game. You see what I'm saying? So for gamers and people that haven't played The Last of Us, and this would be your first experience, this isn't I think that this isn't even going to be the definitive real experience. If you want the real experience, play the remastered version. This remake version, I strongly believe that Neil Cuckman is going to retcon and make certain changes. Yes, on the trailer, we've seen the trailers, and what we're seeing is basically scene by scene of the first game, but that's a trailer. That was like what, the first teaser trailer that got leaked by Sony, was it, like, if I remember rightly. So obviously they're going to show you what they're going to show you to get people in to buy this game. Like, Neil Cuckman and Naughty Dog have already shown us gamers that they will lie, cheat, steal, manipulate to get our money. They will sell us lies. They will manipulate, false advertisement. And they did that and took our money and felt comfortable doing it. Then wondered why people had a big issue with, with what they were seeing and playing when they were playing Last of Us Part 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So these were the points, yeah, and these were the reasons that I wanted to bring up in my last video and I didn't. And I think that this is very, very important. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is just check the logic. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. Maybe you think, maybe you're listening to this and you think that, like, I'm missing certain points. If I am, let me know in the comment section down below. But real talk. We've seen, and Neil Cuckman has shown the lengths that him and Naughty Dog will go to lie and manipulate to sell a game. And from what I'm seeing with the artwork on the box, the posters, everything to do with this remake, you would think that Ellie was the main character and Joel, like, just, you know what I mean, like, Joel just tagged along. You think that the game starts and ends with Ellie, and it doesn't, which is crazy to me. You would think that you would play as Ellie 90% of the time in the game, or like from beginning to end, and that is not the case. And all these little elements that by themselves probably don't really mean much, but when you add it together, you do your investigation and stuff like that, you add it all together, it creates a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that I can see, and I also think and believe that Neil Cuckman is only remaking this game for himself and for his ego, and he's going to make certain changes. And the fact that, like, this game has already, like, the pre-orders is already sold out already, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It really is, especially when, like, we've seen what they would do to get your money. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, again, if I'm not seeing something, if I'm not understanding something, let me know in the comment section down below. But look, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. I love The Last of Us, the first game. I love American Dreams, the comics. You know what I mean? I got them first, first print. I love, like, these, I love this game. I love the Left Behind DLC. Like, I love this game so much. That's why it really bothered me. It really pissed me off to see what Neil Cuckman did in The Last of Us Part 2. And clearly, clearly he's not the talented one. Amy Heddings was, and she's been kicked out, you know what I'm saying, or was it of Naughty Dog, you know what I'm saying, or forced out, should I say, forced out. So I don't know, man, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you like man's content or any of my content. You can also hit me up on the social, Twitter, Instagram and Twitch, Jay's Gamepad across the board. You ain't got to type, tap, press anything else but that. And also, if you want to find me on PlayStation, my gamer name is MrGhostProtocol. So I guess I will see you and speak to you real soon.